Welcome, everybody. This is your Frito Bandito here at T2T, and I got a beautiful roundtable of handsome young men here. I would like to believe. How's everybody doing today?
Doing good. How about yourself?
Doing good. Justin, how you doing, sir?
Hey, wonderful! I'm doing great. It's our first ever roundtable back in action. So that means that we're into our fantasy football playoffs right now, and I was very fortunate this season. So I'm ready to roll.
Will, how are you doing in any of your fantasy leagues?
Oh, I got hit with the injury bug so bad this year. I'm in 6 leagues, and one of them I'm making the playoffs. Oh my God, I had so many injuries. I can't even put them all. I can't even remember them all right now. It's been a rough year.
Look, it happens. It happens to everybody. It happens to the best of them and everything. Jason, what about you, man? How are you doing?
Well, look, Scott Fishbowl was a little tough for me. I got routed in Scott Fishbowl, and Scott Fishbowl is one of those where you don't get to make trades, and the rosters are so deep that it's hard to come back when your players are all injured. So, my worst showing in Scott Fish in several years. My home league snuck into the playoffs after some pretty bad luck for injuries as well, but I got into the playoffs, and my team has scored, in the league above league average for the last several weeks, and I actually have a shot against the number 1 seed, so I'm doing all right. I'm pretty happy, and then I've got a couple other leagues where I'm the 1 seed. Dynasty league's doing well. I'm in too many leagues, man. I have no idea, honestly. It's just
yeah. Look, that's kind of the same route I am. I think I'm like close to 30. I might be above 30 and everything, and I know I recently got bounced out of the Frankenstein League. I got bounced out of Scott Fishbowl, so I'm still in 13 other playoffs and everything. So doing real well and everything. And it's that time of year where it's kind of like we're right in there in that middle and everything, and everybody's really trying to scramble to make sure they have that optimal lineup and everything. So, with that being said, look, roundtable. Justin kind of said it earlier and stuff like that. This is where we get together and look. We discussed everything about football. Playoffs, I mean, you name it. We're going to go over tons of stuff and everything, and hopefully everything. What we're going to try to end up doing is getting a Patreon member on the show to jump in with us and everything. So that's going to be something to look forward to and everything. So I'm really excited about that, getting some of these guys on, guys and ladies and everything, to kind of just be part of the family and everything when they're jumping on everything. So, Will?
Yes, sir.
How is everything down where you're at, man?
In sunny South Florida.
Is it really sunny? I mean, I know Jason's down there too. I've never been there. Is it really sunny?
Not now. Actually, we're getting hit with. If it was before November 30th, it would be classified as a tropical storm. But it's being that it's after, I guess the atmosphere is different. I don't know the science behind that, but it's windier than Chicago. It's like 40-mile-per-hour steady gusts or steady winds and gusting upwards. Tomorrow it's supposed to have tornado threats here, but normally it is nice and sunny and hot during the summer.
Yeah. Let's I want to jump over real quick. Look, we got some people over here. Stay in school and learn science, kids. Hey, science, math, engineering, podcasting. You name it, man. It's amazing how they're starting to. I asked my son; they got some classes now that I'm like totally blown away that they're actually doing in high school. But look, we got some of our Title Tribe members here in the chat. I want to kind of shoot a shout out to some of them. We got Pete. Wasn't able to join us and everything, but hey, Pete, appreciate you jumping in. We got George. That's the square table. It's only round. Well, if we would have got you in here, it would have been a lot more rounder.
To be fair, if George was in here, we also wouldn't fit quite as well.
Very, very true. What is it? One's a company, two's a crowd, 3, and then we go 4, 5, and I'm gonna have to come up with the acronym for that one. But as always, roundtable. Everybody that's in the chat, hey, look, I appreciate everybody being here. While you're here, hit that like and subscribe button. We're only 20 subscribers away from 2,000. and we could use the support to get there and everything. Spread that word. I know Pete sent me a sticker that I'm going to be putting on the back of my car and everything. Have you guys received any stickers yet on it?
He told me when he sent mine to me, but I still haven't been to the post office because I live in those areas that still do the Pony Express for mail. So it takes a minute here in Indiana to get them. And he's in Indiana, but I'll probably get mine last over all of you guys because I live so far away from civilization.
Pete, come on, man, just drive it over to him, man. You guys are like neighbors, basically.
It's not as long as Florida, but it's still a long state.
Yeah, no, I get it. And we got Bobby in the chat, Robert. Hey, yes, definitely ask some questions and stuff like that. Pop it in there as we're going through the show and everything. We will hit it up and ask some of these questions. Jason's over there shaking his head. No, do you want him to wait till title time? Hey,
yep, you got to wait till Sunday.
Unless it's a Saturday play.
Yeah, I was gonna say we have games tomorrow.
Well,
all right.
then
So
then he's just stuck.
We're only allowing Saturday game questions there, Robert.
Sorry, Bobby.
All right. So, hey, one of the things that we're going to start out with as far as topics and everything is any big matchups that you guys are looking forward to this weekend. Justin.
Let's see. So we're into week 15 right now. So obviously, in the AFC, just about every game has playoffs implications of some sort, and a whole lot of them in the NFC too. With only 2 teams mathematically eliminated, I don't know if the Chargers are mathematically eliminated now after that loss or not, because that was also a division loss, so more tiebreakers involved. But before that, the Patriots were the only ones that were mathematically eliminated, which always makes me giggle on the inside. So obviously the Colts and the Steelers, for being a Colts fan, we're sitting on the bubble at that 7 seed. We've already screwed up and we're not going to have any opportunity of getting Marvin Harrison Jr. in the draft because we don't have the capital to trade up to get him either. So we may as well go for it and see if we can at least be the first team out in the playoffs, which, at least we made the playoffs. So we've got that to root for, but so obviously for personal reasons, I'm going to go that route, but I'm very, very intrigued about the Seahawks and the Philadelphia Eagles on Monday Night Football. Guys, if you look at the Seahawks schedule, the games that they've lost mostly have been to really good teams, and they've been kind of close. And I've been saying it, the Philadelphia Eagles are not as good as their record. They are good. Don't get me wrong. They're a great team, but they're not a top-notch, top-tier team. And I feel like there's a really good opportunity for them to get exposed this week. So I'm kind of really looking forward to that game personally.
Seattle's a team that can do it and everything. Jason, I know there's been some rumblings. I don't know if you guys have heard about kind of some player meetings where some of the players for the Eagles concerned about Jalen Hurts with his turnovers recently. Have you heard that, and what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I heard the rumor. It wasn't in the room. Obviously, I'm not a player, but put me in, coach. Right, I'll do it. But I don't know. I can't imagine that's a great thing to have your teammates come to you and say, "Look, you've been turning it over too much." I have to think that that's probably overblown in the meeting. It's probably more of like, we got to get this together, more of a rah-rah kind of thing. He seems like a solid leader on the team. He rushes for a ton of touchdowns. He controls the huddle. Like he seems to be a good leader there. And honestly, the offense isn't the problem in Philadelphia. I'd like to say, but that defense is dreadful. So if they're going to have a meeting, the offense should be taking the defense aside and going, "Hey guys, you need to start pulling y'all's own weight."
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Still gonna be a good game. I'm excited to watch this game. I know there's some injuries over on the Seattle side. They should be healing up and everything. But another big game that's gonna be over this week, and I know Will might have a little interest in it too. Is Will? What do you think about this Cowboys and Bills game?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, the Cowboys are coming off a huge win against the Eagles. No matter if it's by a point or by 20, beating the Eagles is always fun. always. Eagles are good though, like Justin said, but I don't know. I mean, I definitely foresee the Cowboys winning. I do. I don't think. I think that Dak is better than Allen. I think that the weapons that the Cowboys have over the Bills is definitely like the connection, the chemistry is there more than in Buffalo. And I feel like the Cowboys are hot and they're just going to keep riding that wave. I mean, I'm definitely excited to watch that game, but I'm more leaning towards the Cowboys. But it's not like I'm like, oh yeah, Cowboys. It's kind of like not too much.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. I mean, they've been having some great games and everything, and they're really starting to really set themselves aside where they're more of you want to support them more now than anything, and you can't really say, well, it's the Cowboys, they're going to fall apart
Exactly.
like everybody says and stuff like that. It's leaning more towards, hey, they really have a fair shot and everything. Definitely over the Eagles. I don't know about the 49ers and stuff like that. That's a whole other topic to discuss later and everything. But I'm excited. I'm excited about all these games, but I'm even more excited about the game we watched last night. I mean, the Raiders, after throwing up 0 goose egg the week before, came out and threw out 63 points. I mean, the offense was humming, the defense was humming. What was your thoughts on that one interception from Jack Jones for a pick six, Justin?
That interception for that pick six, it looked to me like he was coming in for a DB blitz. Obviously, at least that's what it looked like at first. And then almost immediately at the snap of the ball, like before the running back even got to the point of where the block was supposed to be, he slips out. It's like he saw something. It's like he picked up on a sign or a signal or something from the offense at the point of the snap or right before it, and he knew to fall back and cover the screen. And then it was just lightning in a bottle, and it had to be perfect timing too for it to be as awesome as it was. Like that ball had to be there while he was in stride, and just a little behind for him to be able to reach back and make it one-handed to make it look even more impressive. Like everything just had to hit boom, boom, boom just right for it to look dynamite. And lo and behold, there it is. It was dynamite. It was a great play, yeah, just incredible.
It was just as incredible as Mr. Pete over here with the donation of $1.99. Is this considered a super chat or is it the super pick, Justin?
I don't know. I think it says something down at the bottom if it's something different. I tell you what, Pete, try to donate $5.99 and we'll see what it does.
Yeah, let's test that theory out real quick.
All sales are final.
I'm playing, Pete. I'm playing. You do enough, homie. I'm just joking.
Pete, really appreciate you, man. We also got our man Duarte in the chat. Appreciate you jumping in. One of our gilded Patreon members, if I'm correct.
Yep, absolutely.
We also got Jerry Backshaw in. I remember when a couple weeks back on Title Time, I was calling him Terry Bradshaw. It just every time I see his name, I have to make a shout out like that. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and move on. Saturday games this weekend are actually, I had it pulled up real quick. Apologize for the delay here. We got the Vikings and Bengals playing this Saturday. We have the Steelers at the Colts and the Broncos Lions. Out of those three, which ones you guys more excited about watching? Will?
Sorry, I'm catching up. I was answering a message. Sorry.
Out of the Vikings and Bengals, the Saturday games, and Steelers and Colts and the Broncos and Lions, which one are you more excited about watching?
I always like watching Denver. I'm watching Russell Wilson. A lot of people will probably disagree with me on that, but I am a huge Sean Payton fan, and I feel because they started out 0-3, I believe it was, and then they won 5 straight games, and now they are 7-6, over 500, and they're playing Detroit. What?
Pete. Oh, man, I was joking. Now you make me feel bad.
Go ahead, Will.
So yeah, I love watching Denver, and I'm they're getting that push. They're over 500, like I said, and they're playing against Detroit. Detroit's had a rocky couple of weeks, and I would love to see Denver pull the W.
Justin, you have a favorite out of those three?
Yeah.
I knew. I just wanted to kind of go there and stuff like that, just to see if you were going to say anything.
I mean, nothing special. I mean, it's the Colts get Mitch Trubisky, but they also the Colts have struggled against the good defenses, and the Steelers defense has not been playing nearly as well or as effective as they were at the start of the season since Watt had gotten hurt, and even when Watt plays, he's not the same Watt that we're used to seeing. So I was gonna make a bad dad joke about bad wattage, but anyway, he doesn't have that same electricity. We'll just say that. So there is a chance, I guess, but I'm not overly optimistic about this game. The Steelers traditionally in the history really have had the Colts number. We're also playing with a backup quarterback, and people forget that because sometimes he'll have a really good game, but then most times he has a very backup quarterback game. So it's hit or miss, but we definitely need a hit on this one because after this, the Colts have a pretty nice schedule to finish out the rest of the season. So if they can cap off this week with a win over the Steelers, I really like their chances of being able to make it into the playoffs.
Jason, we got your son in the chat over here. He's saying he got a sticker and everything. What sticker? Did he get one of those T2T stickers?
Yeah, Pete was awesome and sent him a T2T sticker because my son is our biggest fan on Title Time Sunday mornings. And so Sunday morning, Pete was showing off the stickers, and Eli wanted one, and Pete was awesome and sent him one. So so thank you again, not just for the super chats, Pete, but for the sticker as well.
Yep, it looks like Pete's gonna just keep trying until he gets it, and he finally got it. He got a super sticker, so I don't know. Maybe it's after so much amount. I don't know. you're a superstar in our book, Pete.
Jason, are you on any of those games from Saturday? Or are you going that third one?
So look, I have Saturday is a big one for my home league. Like I've got Mixon, I've got Gibbs, I got some players on Saturday, so I'm excited for the whole slate. There's a couple things I want to see. Look, the Raiders just scored 63 points. The week before that, they scored 0 against the Vikings. I want to see if that Vikings defense is really that good. You know what I mean? Like if the Raiders can score 63 and get held to 0, I want to see if the Vikings are actually okay. And I want to see what the Lions are. They've been bad the last couple weeks, and I want to see if if they're the bad team or going to be a bad team down the stretch, and they're going to let Green Bay or Chicago, strangely enough, like sneak back in, or if they're going to be the real thing. Denver could run the table going forward. Has anybody looked at Denver's rest of the season schedule? I'm pulling it up right now, but there's a lot of wins in the rest of the Denver Broncos schedule, and they could feasibly run the table, and feasibly, crazy enough to say, from where they started giving up 70 to Miami, like they could actually take the division.
Yeah, they can. They still have to play the Raiders again, and they have to play the Chiefs. Have they played the Chargers twice? Or since you got
they've played the Chiefs twice. They split with them.
Chiefs.
They played so their schedule is Lions, Patriots, Chargers, Raiders. Now, 63 points last night withstanding, every single one of those games is winnable. Every single one. I mean, the Chargers just gave up 63. That's winnable. The Patriots have been awful. Like every single one. And especially with the way the Lions have been playing. So the Broncos going from giving up 70 to Miami to making the playoffs and potentially winning the division would be an incredible story. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I agree.
I agree with you 100% too. I want to give a shout out to George, your co-partner and my former co-partner from Title Time over here with the $4.99 donation and stuff like that. Eventually, I'm going to get back where I'm there with you guys and everything. But George, appreciate you very much, man. I know. I feel like we on T2T the Flagstaff show on Tuesday. We were hitting it up, getting some of these donations going, and already starting with this episode too. So another great show with some donations from everybody helping out and everything. Is Lori saying she's donating too there, Justin?
Actually, yeah, it does look like she is. Hold on one second though. Just move on for now.
I got you. I just saw that out of the blue and everything. So let's move on to updated MVP odds. Currently, right now, Dak Prescott is sitting at plus 150. Brock Purdy is sitting at plus 185. We got Lamar Jackson at plus 475. Jalen Hurts at plus 650. Tyreek Hill at plus 1,600. Patrick Mahomes at plus 1,600. Allen at plus 2,000 and Tua at plus 2,000. What is this? I came back to.
I want to see that donation, Lori. You better. All right, I definitely need to stop sharing that.
Well, I was over here reading the odds off our doc, and I came back and I was like, "Wait, did we turn into a science show?"
Nope, she got to see biceps, so I need to see that donation.
All right, Jason, who do you like for MVP?
I've had Dak for weeks. You know, I know George made a little video because he's now a San Francisco fan about Brock Purdy. but look, we've seen with San Francisco and that coaching staff that somebody like George could play quarterback and be successful in this league on that team. Dak Prescott, on the other hand, I do not think that you could take I forgot the name of the backup that came in and won some games based off the defense, but didn't run the offense last year. I don't think anybody could do what Dak's been doing. And I think Dak's schedule is easy enough going forward that he has a chance to keep rolling. So I like Dak to win it all this year.
I'm sure Will's kind of excited about that, right, Will?
Yes, I am. I would have to say Prescott as well. I mean, not only because I'm a Cowboys fan, but I mean he's been on fire, and I think he's doing great. I mean, it's a tough one this year, but I would go with Dak.
Justin, where are you leaning at?
Holy crap, not that much, Lori. We still have Christmas to buy. Jeez.
She just bought us Christmas.
Holy crap. All right. Well, bravo to you, Lori. Bravo to you.
Yes, bravo. Very bravo.
I hope that crap didn't come from the shared account. But I'm just playing. We don't have a shared account. But I like how Jason likes to rip on George while he's not here to defend himself. But I got to give George a little bit of credit here because he was calling Brock Purdy after that 3-game losing streak. Like, he was still touting Brock Purdy, and yeah, I get it's because he's a big Niners fan now, but I still, and the fact that his odds just keep getting better and better. You're right. A lot of good quarterbacks could look great in that offense, but you still got to be a good quarterback. Like, I don't think that. I mean, obviously, what's his name? Trey Lance couldn't look good in that offense, So, like, you still have to be at least good, right?
How has Jimmy Garoppolo looked with anybody else?
Right. No, I know that Brock Purdy still looked better than him in this same offense.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He has looked better than Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo is a worse quarterback than Brock Purdy. That's not a high bar to set. Jimmy Garoppolo looked good in this offense and was replaced by Aiden O'Connell for the Raiders.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I'm just saying.
I agree. I'm just saying you still at least have to be a good quarterback to be able to advance this team the way that they have. Like, a bad quarterback doesn't do it. He
made it to the Super Bowl, like, right?
Okay,
or at least the NFC Championship game, like that.
Anyway, so
sorry about that.
If he stays healthy, my guy here is Tyreek Hill because I feel like I want it to be Dak. I really do, and he deserves it. And usually it's based off of how they do a lot the year before. It seems like as well. So I feel like whoever votes on these things are probably going to take that into consideration more than they should. He's had a hell of a season this year, and he totally deserves it. But Tyreek Hill, to have an opportunity to break a record that really should be unbreakable. And I don't know how close he is at this point now, but I know at one point he was well above the what he needed. So I know he's had some injury issues. So if he can stay healthy, if he can stay on the field, if he can break that record, especially if he can get it in equal to a 16-game season, if he can get it in 16 games, then I kind of feel like his odds have to bump up after that at this point, personally.
Yeah, look, I'm on the Tyreek Hill train too and everything. Now that got hit, that hurt his run to get the MVP really took a hit last week and probably going into this week. If it wasn't for last week and this week, because there's a good chance he might not play this week. Is there any doubt that you guys think he doesn't play or does play?
I think he suits up, but I think honestly, last week, if anything, proves that he is an MVP candidate because he was off the field and look how they did. So yes, he's not on the field to be valuable, but he's showing how valuable he is when he's not there. That offense fell apart when he wasn't on the field. Although, if we call it that way, I think after what we saw last night, Justin Herbert may be MVP.
I don't know, man. That team was crap with or without him. They just looked more crap without him.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to back you 100%, Jason. Look, every time a QB wins MVP, and that's been a straight run, I can't even tell you how long it's been. It's because they're the main person that runs the offense and everything. But you hit a prime example of Tyreek. When he went out, it was almost like that team couldn't really move the ball to a certain degree. Obviously, they did and everything, but he makes a world of difference. Not even for the Miami Dolphins, but look what happened to the Kansas City Chiefs once he left. All of a sudden, now Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid ain't highly touted as they're the favorites to win, and is that because of Tyreek? Justin?
Adrian Peterson in 2012 was the last one to win it, so 11 years ago. And since you brought it up, is Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes highly touted or highly pouted?
Based off of your short, they are highly pouted.
So, nobody's really talking about it. But that offense was okay last year. What's the big difference? I mean, Eric Bieniemy left.
Yeah.
So everybody for years said, "Oh, this is Andy Reid's offense. Eric Bieniemy's just a guy who's there. Andy Reid calls the plays. Andy Reid this, Andy Reid that." But like Eric Bieniemy leaves, and all of a sudden that offense can't move the ball like they used to. Patrick Mahomes is not scoring 20 fantasy points week in and week out. On the other hand, Sam Howell, who again is not the world's greatest quarterback, has looked fantastic being an average to poor quarterback. So I'm wondering, it's not getting talked about too much, but Eric Bieniemy may be the glue that held that whole thing together.
Definitely might be part of the piece of the puzzle. Now, if Washington came out and they were freaking having an awesome season, I'd back you 100% on that. We got Duarte here saying CMC to win MVP. George also said everything. I know we don't have his odds up and everything, and I'm not going to go in there and look, but does he have a chance with the list that we have? Jason?
No, not because he doesn't deserve it, but one, he's not a quarterback, and two, him and Purdy will split votes.
All right.
No,
I want to kind of go back to Tyreek real quick because Justin made a good point. The last time a non-QB won, it was Peterson. Why did he win that? Because he came back from an injured season. And what did he do that next season?
2,000 yards.
Exactly. And if Tyreek does push for that 2,000 and have an opportunity, he has to be 1A, 1B candidate that we are talking about. Any opinions on that? Will?
No, go ahead.
Well, the other one thing, I'll go back to CMC. Another reason why I don't think CMC is going to get it is because he had a better yard. I think a better year in 2019 statistically than he's having now, with 1,000 yards receptions, 1,000 yards receiving, 1,000 yards rushing. that was a better year. If he didn't win it that year, he's not going to win it this year. Breaking records is, I think it's big, but like we've had guys push for some of these records since Adrian Peterson did it. Cooper Kupp a couple years ago probably deserved it. I would say even as much as Tyreek Hill did this year, and didn't sniff it, didn't even get a vote, I don't think. So I don't know. Like again, it's become a quarterback. It's become a quarterback award. So I think it's going to be tough for him to get it. Sorry, Will, if I stepped.
No, I agree. That's along the same lines.
Justin?
Yeah, so I was also going to say 2012 kind of brought up a very different situation or scenario that helped pave the way for Adrian Peterson as well, because the top three quarterbacks that year, statistically speaking, was Drew Brees, and his team was below 500 at 7-9 and did not make the playoffs. Matthew Stafford, the Lions, were 4-12, obviously didn't make the playoffs. And Tony Romo, the Cowboys, were 8-8, did not make the playoffs. So the top three quarterbacks that year were all on losing teams. So we don't have that this year. This year we have Dak and we have Purdy, we have Hurts, we have quarterbacks that are on teams that are winning games. It's going to be a quarterback. So the only way it ever isn't going to be a quarterback. The only reason I made that argument for Tyreek earlier is because he's a wide receiver, right? Like it's a little bit different, but he's a very explosive one, and he's trying to break a huge record. If he breaks the record, maybe we got that opportunity. If he doesn't break that record, he doesn't even stand a chance. And that's why I don't think it'll be CMC.
No, I get it 100% and stuff like that. What it's come down to is MVP comes down to a quarterback, and then when it comes down to that, that's where they have the offensive player of the year and defensive player to give it to somebody else besides the QB, especially for offensive player of the year. And that, like I said, Cooper Kupp won it that one year where he should have been a true candidate for MVP if you really want, because it was, I mean, he basically hit the triple crown, did he not?
He did.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go ahead and move on. Current playoff. NFC, we have San Francisco at 1, Cowboys at number 2, Lions at 3, Tampa Bay, Jason's team, at number 4, and then we have the Eagles at 5, the Vikings surprisingly still in it at 6, and the Packers at 7. Will, based off of this, these top 7, who drops out and who do you think might bounce in?
Who drops out? I would love to see the Eagles drop out. I don't say that every single time. I don't see for San Francisco going anywhere. Although I want Dallas 1, but of course not. Detroit. If I could see them dropping down. I don't know if they would drop out. No, dropping down significantly if they don't pick up. Who's the wild card spot?
Right now it's both NFC North teams. It's Vikings and Packers.
Okay. So so Packers.
Packers dropping out. Jason, you agree with that?
Potentially, but I mean, honestly, the team on there that's the most vulnerable is Tampa. They are in a 3-way tie at 6-7 in the NFC South. Their schedule is not that difficult, but neither are the Saints, neither is the Falcons. So any one of those 3 teams at 7-9, or could end up making the playoffs. If I was a betting man, I would probably choose the Falcons, even though they just lost to Tampa. Tampa's not a great team, and they're only where they are is because right now they're the king of Trash Mountain.
Yeah, I was going to go pretty much the same direction with that, because it's just a numbers thing. Like Tampa is in there now at the 4 seed, and they'll make the playoffs if they win the division. But like you said, they're tied with 2 other teams, and it's in a bad division where anybody could win it. So it's kind of a crapshoot there. You got a 1 in 3 chance. But if we're going to assume that the division leaders stay where they're at, I kind of think maybe it's Minnesota, because with Joshua Dobbs playing like he did last week in the new changing of the guard there in Minnesota, maybe he was a mirage, maybe he was just riding a hot hand, and either way, he's no longer going to be the starter there, at least in the immediate future. So who knows what the rookie quarterback does. with that offense. And do they even get Justin Jefferson back? I know they're supposed to, but he seems a little fragile this year, right? So like, I don't know. There's a lot of question marks around that, including the defense. It's played better this year than it did last year. The defense has actually been more impressive to me than the offense has been to help keep them in games. But even they have their weak spots still. So I think they're ranked 10th overall in the league, but 15th over the last 3 games. So they're even kind of starting to slip as well. So yeah, Eli, you're not being ignored, buddy. We don't have time for all of the chats like we usually do on Title Time, where we're only looking at the chat. So we still appreciate you, Eli. But
yeah, and that's the reason why I brought it up and everything. Eli, I promise I'm not trying to ignore you and stuff like that. I'm just multitasking and trying to go through this and making sure we're giving a good show for y'all. So I appreciate you every time you're in the chat, really do. AFC. We got Baltimore Ravens at 1. Georgia's Miami Dolphins at number 2. We got the Kansas City at number 3. We got the Jacksonville Jaguars at 4. The Joe Flacco Cleveland Browns are sitting there at number 5. Nate is just freaking doing laps right now, jumping jacks. So he's so pumped about Joe Flacco and everything. We do have the Pittsburgh Steelers at number 6, and we got the Colts sitting there at number 7. And with that being said, Justin, do the Colts hold on and stay in the playoff hunt?
So, in my opinion, the team that's going to be out here and in this situation is going to be whoever loses the game between the Steelers and the Colts this week. And the reason I say that is because, like I said, the Colts have a relatively easy schedule after this. Now, the Steelers still have their divisional matchups, and their division is a lot tougher than the Colts' division. But if the Colts don't win this game, then they're not catching back up to Jacksonville, even with the easier schedule, because Lawrence is slowly going to get healthier as the season goes, and they are not as good as Jacksonville. So their only hope really is to win this game now and then stay above the bubble on the win-loss records with the easier schedule moving forward. But if the Steelers lose this game, they have the tougher division moving forward. They're not likely to get caught back up either. So the game is at Indianapolis, and I'm a Colts fan. I've got to go with my team. So if I have to choose a team that's going to be out here, I'm going to say that the Steelers are out. Even though I'm not super confident.
I mean, in the AFC, you're muted, Rich. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. What I was saying real quick, I apologize, Jason, we'll hit you up, is Justin, on Jonathan Taylor, does he make it back for the playoffs if they do make it in?
I think he'll probably be back next week, not against the Steelers, but the following week, just from what I'm hearing on local radio and local chatter. I would say it's probably going to be week 16.
All right, Jason, who out of the 7 that we got, who do you think has a good chance of actually, I'm going to throw a curve at, out of the bottom 5, who's is it? Does Jacksonville fall below any of these guys?
No. I see Jacksonville hanging on and making the playoffs. I can see, I mean, look, we've got the Bills still not in this playoff picture. We've got the Broncos, who we talked about potentially could close this thing out without a loss, not in this playoff picture. And I don't see the Colts or the Steelers like closing these things out without at least one win. I mean, look, one of those 2 teams is losing this week. And then several potential for them to lose a couple of games, going forward. So like, I think the Bills sneak in. I think both the Bills and the Broncos sneak in there. And you'll either have the Chiefs or the Broncos as the wild card, and one of the other, and one is the winner. So if I had to choose, I'm sorry, Justin, but if I had to choose, I think those 2. I mean, honestly, I think they're better teams. The Bills, the issue there is the Bills' schedule going forward is brutal. Yeah. So they're gonna it's a gauntlet for them to make it through to the playoffs. So They basically have to win out with a bad schedule. But I really think that those two
Well,
are better.
honestly, the Bills, you're right. They have had a gauntlet, but they're almost out of it. They have the Cowboys this week, and they do have Miami the last week. But in the in between, they got the Chargers and the Patriots.
There you go. So so out of the 4, they got 2 tough games.
Right.
And the Dolphins can't beat anybody with a winning record. So if the Bills go in there with a winning record,
that was another shot at George for those of you that didn't know.
All right, Will, does Kansas City, is there a possibility that they slip out at all?
I never say never, but I don't foresee them dropping out that much. I know they've had a couple rough weeks, but regardless of who's on side and who's not, I don't foresee them dropping. I could see them dropping, but not dropping out. I could see them going like 5th, 6th down there, but Mahomes is still good. You still got Kelsey there. You still got Andy Reid, as the head coach. I mean, they're still a good team. I just think it's a rough patch that they can overcome. Do I think they're going to go far? No, I don't. But I do see them dropping down, just not out entirely. But there is a possibility.
So in order for them to drop down, you've already said, and a couple of you have already said, you've talked about the Broncos' schedule moving forward. So you're saying that if they do drop down, then obviously that means you mean that there's a good chance that the Broncos are going to pass them up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
There you go.
All right, Will, besides me just kind of pinpointing Kansas City on you, any outtakes that you want to take from the AFC with any of the other teams?
I want to see the Jaguars succeed, just because I'm a Trevor Lawrence fan, and I know he came back this past week and didn't look himself ever since he had that injury the week before. But the Dolphins, I don't really foresee too much of a change. I don't know the schedules. I'm not gonna lie, moving forward with those guys, but yeah. That's all I got. I don't really have much on the AFC.
Yeah, so Jerry put up here the schedule for the Chiefs. They got the Pats, the Raiders, the Bengals, and the Chargers. I mean, look, based off of that schedule and stuff like that,
I don't foresee them dropping out.
If they would have had a more tougher schedule, maybe say like the Ravens and some of the some of the other harder teams and everything, there could have been a possibility that they slip out and Denver slips in and everything. Now, that's just a long shot. I'm just throwing out conspiracy theories and everything. But I do like the Broncos to truly make a run and sneak into the playoffs and probably push one of these teams out. I'm as much as the Joe Flacco hype and everything and stuff, they really got to go keep a true run going. Now, what I would like to see is if the Cleveland Browns do make the playoffs and everything, that maybe the first round they play the Baltimore, after the bye, they play Baltimore Ravens if they get that far. So have a little matchup there in the playoffs between his old team and everything. So
that'd be great.
All right. Mahomes, Reid, and Tony. I know Justin had a short on this and everything. I'll give you one opportunity if you want to kind of hit this again and everything. But I will say this. We do have a note on there. Pacheco had surgery on his shoulder and can be back sometime next week. Are they powders? Are they Justin?
Yeah, absolutely. Like they had more of a reason to complain about the defensive pass interference the week before than they did this one. And I mean, and since that call, there's been the Monday night game, or wait, no, it was Sunday night. It was the Sunday night game, and then last night, the Thursday night game, that same call was called again, making it now an average of exactly once per week that they've called that call. And they call it at all different parts of the game. It's not one of those unspoken rule things where they're not going to call the defensive pass interference on a Hail Mary because it's the last play of the game, which I also think they need to throw that out. If you're going to call DPI, you need to call DPI. If it's a penalty, it's a penalty. But anyway, I get it, whatever. But this is one of those things where it was a penalty. It was obviously a penalty. But I went off on a whole rant about it last on the Tuesday night show, if you guys want to go back and watch the flagship show. But essentially, yes, this is an entitled team. that has gotten used to always getting the calls. And now that they're not as good of a team as they were, and they're not just getting handed the calls, they're being whiners about it because they're used to they don't understand what actual real football without having the assistance of the refs throughout the game really looks like. And now here it is. So, but the one that surprises me the most is Andy Reid. And I get he's coming from where he was highly successful with a lot of wins in Philadelphia, highly successful with a lot of wins now in Kansas City. But dude, you know the rules at least. And I think maybe Andy Reid's complaint more so than anything was showing that he's on the side of his player. I feel like that has to be it because he's smarter than that. Like, he can't do that. But anyway, here we are. But yes, they are whiners, they're powders, and I'm not even a Chiefs hater. Like, that's the weird thing. Like, I was a Pat Mahomes fan before all this, and now it's like, where did that come from? So I'm hoping it was a one-off. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Still going to root for the guy on Sundays, and I still love and respect Andy Reid. This was just one of those things where it just kind of grinds your gears, and if it continues, if we continue to see this path. I mean, like, I even cringed several times when Peyton Manning at the end of his career was whining and pouting about certain calls, and I named my son Peyton. Like, so I won't show favoritism. I'll stop rooting for you. Anyway, I saw Jason. Sorry.
So I haven't had a chance to talk about it, but you know, they want to complain about the DPI the game before. I get it. Sure, the fans or the Chiefs don't mention that they got a free 15 yards when Patrick Mahomes was still in bounds and defensive player hit him and they threw 15 yards because it's Patrick Mahomes. And, you know, you don't hit him in that situation and he goes 10 more yards because you don't hit him. So, like, they don't want to talk about that play. You know, the offensive or the defensive pass interference in the end zone is what it is. They still don't want to talk about their offensive tackle who lines up back where Kadarius Toney maybe should have been lining up. Every play, even on the play they're complaining about, it made Kadarius Toney's spot look worse because your offensive line is back off the ball. So, like, you don't say anything when you keep getting away with that over and over and over again. It reminds me of when a team gets the moniker of a tough defense. They get the talk about they're a good defense or a tough defense. They get away with holding a little bit more. They get away with pass interference a little bit more. They get away with jumping early a little bit more because they're a good defense, and the officials see them as that. Well, for a long time, the Chiefs have gotten away with a lot of offensive, let's say, head starts, and they're not used to not getting them. And this year, they're not getting some of them, and it's showing. And, you know, they're dealing with what a lot of teams deal with week in and week out. It's bad officiating on one hand. They're not getting the benefits of, like, the good calls, but they're also getting bad calls finally against them. Well, you know what? As a Tampa fan, somebody who can say, like, our team never gets ref calls, I hope you get used to it. It sucks. It sucks for every team that it happens to.
Hey, shout out to the governor. Appreciate you, my man.
Also, I want to shout out to Tyler Benson for joining.
Didn't see that one.
Yeah, no. The reason why I'm bringing it up is, look, it's a perfect segue. Look, if you haven't had a chance, hit us up. Join the Gilded Chat by emailing us at toiletstotitles@gmail.com. We have we have over 200 plus people in there constantly talking football and everything. And if you hadn't have a chance, reach out to us. And come join the family, man. I mean, we constantly talk football 24/7 and everything. And while you're there, also hit us up about patreon.com. Look, we have our own little chat within the Gilded where we give a little bit more extra for them to kind of really help them out. I mean, we got giveaways that we're doing. So hit us up, toiletstotitles@gmail.com. Come join our Gilded Chat. We'd really appreciate it very much. All right, I'm scrolling back down. I apologize. Got sidetracked there. Coaches on the hot seat, guys. We're getting towards the end of this show, so we're going to go ahead. I did have a list on here. Obviously, one already gotten taken care of. Brandon Stayley got fired today. If you hadn't had an opportunity, go to YouTube, check out the short that I released today on Brandon Stayley. After the blowout last night to the Raiders, look, Everybody was talking about it, and everybody was kind of shocked that they didn't hear anything about first thing here in the morning and stuff like that. But it did end up midway through the day. So knocking him off the list. I'm going to give you guys a list of coaches that are on the hot seat. We got Ron Rivera with the Commanders. We have Arthur Smith with the Falcons. Todd Bowles with the Buccaneers. I'm kind of on that one and stuff like that. We'll get Jason's thoughts. Another one name that's popping up is Sean McDermott with the Bills. Mike Tomlin with the Steelers. Are his days numbered? We'll talk about it right now. Justin.
All right, so what you said, we'll talk about it right now. I'll go ahead and talk about Mike Tomlin. Here's the thing about Mike Tomlin. For one, I absolutely loved this guy when he first came out, and the fact that he was at that right age and the right mental attitude to be able to be a player's coach, but also coach, right? Like he does know football. The guy is a good coach. What I hate about Mike Tomlin is that every single season, it doesn't matter how the season started, it never ends well. Like the last 3, 4, 5 games, he always goes on a losing streak to end out the season. He might win the last one from time to time here and there, but this is the one gem, the one shining grace that the Colts have playing against them this week is that Tomlin's teams usually falter at the end of the season. A lot of times it's from injury. A lot of times it's not. All right. So we don't always want to pin this on injury. Go back and look at his history. He's just and especially after that first few years with the Steelers, it's almost religiously every year at the end of the season, his teams start to fail. And then if he were to start the seasons as bad as he ends them and then pick up steam as the season goes, it would show his progression coaching the team throughout the season. And even if they ended in the same record at the end of the season and didn't make the playoffs, then that would be different. But it's a bad look to end the season every single year, the way that he's ended seasons. And I think it's why he's on your list. I think it's why every year for the last couple of years, it's kind of been rumored or talked about from time to time. If he loses to the Colts this week and then he doesn't pick up steam at the end with these last 3 weeks, I wouldn't be surprised if there were a lot of rumors and talks about Mike Tomlin and the Steelers parting ways.
Yeah, no, you're right. Will, look, out of that list I gave you and everything, we also have Pete in the chat saying Eberflus. We also have George in the chat saying Bill Belichick. Look, I don't think we need to put him on the hot seat and everything because of the fact, look, this is going to be a parting of the ways and stuff like that. I don't think it's so much he's on the hot seat. It's just, it's fate going its direction and stuff on this direction. Justin, real quick, and then we'll jump.
I want to comment about Belichick real quick. Woohoo! All right, go ahead.
All right, Will. Out of the choices, what do you got?
On the list or with Bill Belichick?
Yeah, out of the list, Bill Belichick, whatever you want, my man.
Bill Belichick is definite. I don't think he's necessarily in a hot seat. I just think the Patriots era is just coming to an end. I think that they had that run, of course, everybody knows, with Tom Brady and all and blah, blah, blah. I think that Bill Belichick, his days are just numbered solely because of that. I still think he's one of the greatest coaches in the game. I still think he's one of the smartest coaches in the game. But I definitely don't see him in a hot seat. I don't see him in a hot seat necessarily. Jeez. I definitely think that Mike Tomlin, like Justin said, is definitely he's a good coach, but he can never close it out. And that would be the one that I would choose. As soon as Justin started talking, I was like, yep. I was like, stole it from me. But yeah.
All right, Pete, what are you doing, my man? I appreciate you so much. Another 99-cent super sticker. He's gonna provide lunch for my family tomorrow. So thank you very much.
I think it's like every time he sells one of the Toilets to Titles actual stickers that he made for the team, he just donates it to us. Maybe that's it. Like he's just selling stickers right and left.
We got Bolt Guy over here joining. I appreciate you, my man. Jason, I know I had Todd Bowles on there. I don't know if you want to go that route, but is there somebody else besides Todd Bowles, or what route are you going?
We'll get to Todd Bowles in a minute.
Right.
Gotcha.
Arthur Smith should be fired. Stubborn guy. Weapons he doesn't know how to use. using guys that shouldn't, inexcusable to use Algier as much as he does in the red zone when you have a guy like Bijan Robinson on the team. So I think Arthur Smith's a guy who's on a hot seat and probably should go. Getting to Todd Bowles, if Todd Bowles doesn't win a playoff game, and let's be fair, he's not winning a playoff game, he probably is gone out of Tampa. And, the Glaziers see Tampa this year as a team that should be able to win this Trash Mountain division with the roster they have, minus Tom Brady for sure, but they feel like they should be able to win this division, and honestly, they should. It's garbage. It is garbage. Derek Carr's playing like crap. We just talked about what we talked about Atlanta and what Ritter's doing. Like they're garbage too. And then obviously Carolina's has one win. Now, Todd Bowles' biggest sin is sticking with guys for too long, way too long. Sticking with his defensive players like Devin White, who's shown nothing on the field because he's they're his guys. Not playing the cornerbacks like Zaya McCullough, who has been outplaying the two starters week in and week out, but he's not the guy. He's not his guy, and so and then in scheme. They've got man corners playing zone and playing 10 yards off guys when they need 5 yards repeatedly and not changing over and over and over and over and over again. And then you add just how conservative he is on offense, how terrible he is at clock management, and the dude's got to go. Sorry, little bit of rant of my own.
No, that's perfectly fine. Justin, go ahead.
So Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson have progressively been getting used more and more in that offense. Like had they been getting used more from the gate, then maybe they're up by 2 or 3 wins in this division already. So if he starts using them now, Arthur Smith, I mean, obviously, if he starts using these players now and they end up pulling this off, then does he keep his job even though he clearly needs to be fired?
I don't. So again, it'll depend, right? Like if winning the division, I don't think potentially saves either one of these jobs because it's not like these owners don't realize how bad this division is. You win the division at 7-9 and you lose by 40 in the first round of the playoffs to either the Cowboys or the Eagles. Like, is that considered a win, or did you just cost your team a good playoff picture, good draft pick? For a playoff loss that you get crushed in. So like, I don't know if it saves it. It also just points out like if you were doing what you're supposed to do from the beginning, you could have been a much better team going from the start.
Right.
The Falcons, for example, I mean, they have a Ritter problem, right? Let's not kid ourselves, but you could also run that offense in a way that helps Ritter out and then gets Pitts involved and Drake London involved and Bijan Robinson the ball more often than they had been prior to a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, but the thing about Atlanta is, yes, they have a Ritter problem, but they put themselves in a situation where they can't go get another quarterback in the draft and everything. So maybe someone falls to them. Maybe there's someone there, but they kind of put themselves in that situation. Ron Rivera is on that list. We didn't talk about him. Look, I think he's out the door. You got new ownership and everything. They're going to look for change. Bellamy, look, he has an opportunity to take over this team once they can. Rivera, I don't see how it's not they don't can him after this year. And then the other one that we're on the list was Sean McDermott with the Bills. Look, I know we have him on here. Yeah, look. The Bills are not having the season that they're having. Josh Allen just being Josh Allen, But I still think Sean McDermott has another year with this team to see if they can't bounce back from this season that they've had. One last couple more things before we end the show. We do have Tommy DeVito and the New York Giants surging late. There's no way that they're surging, they're looking good and everything. But there's no way they surge into the playoffs, right, Justin?
I mean, and so obviously they're not going to win that division, right? So we've got to look at the wild card here, and I mean they're 5-8. Okay, so if they're 5-8, next thing we do, we look at the schedule. So I'm trying to pull that up right now.
It's Giants twice and Rams after this week. Like
the Giants play themselves twice.
I'm sorry, the Eagles twice.
Okay, yeah, no, they're not. No, they're not.
They get the Saints, so they get the Saints. Don't worry, that's not awful, but like they get the Eagles twice in this. And
so if they beat the Saints and the Rams, then they're at 7 wins. So they really need to, at the very least, split with the Eagles. That might maybe make a push, and maybe they have tiebreakers there because it's a divisional game. But I don't see them beating the Eagles at all. With little Danny DeVito's nephew, like there's no way. Like seriously, like it's got to be a mirage. It has to be a mirage. They've beaten Washington, they've beaten New England, they've beaten the Packers. He's the product of having a real nice schedule during the time that he's taken over. He might get one more here, and then it's going to be the fall of. I'm trying to remember the name of that backup court. The fall of Flynn, the backup quarterback. Yeah, Matt Flynn, the guy that was the backup for the Packers for all those years, had one great game, got a huge contract, and got benched 3 games into the season, and we never heard from him again.
Actually, didn't he? I think he never played because wasn't that he was he played for Seattle, and then Russell Wilson
Raiders
took over.
Yeah. All right, Will, last thing on Danny DeVito. This is within your division, being a Cowboys fan. Is there any chance he beats out Danny Dimes for the quarterback position? I know they've already paid Danny Dimes, but
I feel like I'm a little biased in this one because I don't like Danny Dimes and I hate the Giants because they are within my division. Yeah, I do.
Wow.
I do.
Any you guys thoughts on that? Justin?
No, he's not going to beat out Danny Dimes. No, he's not going to get to play the Packers every single week.
So he has Danny Dimes has a dead cap hit of $69 million next year. He is not he's not beating it. They're not putting Daniel Jones on the bench for the amount of money he's owed, and they're not cutting him for sure. So
now, because of his manager Guido over there, there's absolutely no way he doesn't make the team, and he's now earned himself the spot as the backup moving forward. I think he's at least done that much, but nah.
Yeah, no, I 100% get it. I was just throwing it out there just to give a little Tommy DeVito a little 15 minutes of glory and everything. So being said, all right, guys, that is the one going to the end of the last stuff that we have listed. But there is one thing that we want to finish the show out with is in the honor of Justin and Coach on our Flagstaff show. They get these games they play. They pick the game of the week based off a point differential. Me and Will are gonna do our own little thing here. We're gonna call it bottom of the barrel. So, as always, we are gonna use me and Jason's top 10 rankings, where you can find it at toiletstotitles.com, where we have all our articles, rankings, video links to our videos, and just tons of information on there that we can go on and on about. But what we're going to do is me and Will are going to use the rankings that me and Jason have been putting out every week. And he is going to pick out of the top 10, and I'm going to pick out of the top 10 at each position. And we have to pick a player for each other's team that's going to score the less out of those top 10. Reason why we're doing this is, Jason, how many times do you struggle between putting a player in the starting lineup and on the bench, and the person you pick in the starting lineup does not go off, gives you 3 points, and the person you put on the bench goes for 30?
Hey, I will tell you, Aiden O'Connell is on my bench. I couldn't. I was texting with George, who's not on the show tonight, but I was texting with George last night, and in our league chat, that I couldn't start Aiden O'Connell, but I should have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for what it's worth, it's going to happen to me a lot this week because I have 5 playoff teams where I have Austin Eckler. And luckily 2 of them I have a bye. But the other 3 teams, I started Austin Eckler this week, and it's just a matter of time before I see which of those running backs on my bench are going to way outscore what that pathetic outcome was that he put out for me last night.
Yeah, so this leads into why we're doing this. I am going to try to give Will the worst lineup I could give out of our top 10 rankings. But we all know that I might pick somebody and I'm thinking they're going to be the lower performer out of the 10, and they could end up being the number 1 player that scores that position for the week and everything. So that's the premonition of this game that we're playing and everything. So with that being said, Will, who is the quarterback you're picking for me for this week?
Justin Fields.
Justin Fields, interesting. I am picking Jordan Love for you. Look, I know he's been struggling. I know they got some beat up receivers and everything. So that's why I'm picking Jordan Love. Why Justin Fields?
Out of that list, I thought that he was going to have the worst week. They are playing, and I'm sorry about that. They are playing Cleveland, but I could not pick anybody. I mean, this is actually pretty tough, but I'm really happy that we're playing this because it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to help me in my fantasy leagues, but I think I don't foresee Fields having a good week.
Yeah, I mean, I could have easily said, hey, you pick any player that you want. And I mean, you could have said Pacheco and everything and stuff like that. So I wanted to make this interesting and still promote our brand and promote the things that we do within our site and within our team and stuff like that. So this is a great opportunity to promote me and Jason with our rankings every week and everything. So that's why I kind of threw that out there. We're still picking good players, but we're trying to pick the worst of the best players. You know what I'm saying?
All right. Are we allowed to sell? Are we allowed to sell these players at all, or am I? Because I like both Justin Fields and Jordan Love this week. I gotta look at my rankings, but I like them both.
Okay, but yeah, out of your rankings, so who would you think is the worst?
Yeah,
of those two?
Yep.
Of those two, I'm gonna say Jordan Love. Tampa's an awful defense, but and the Browns are a better defense, but the Browns, I think, over the last 3 weeks have been like 31st against quarterbacks, somewhere around there. They've been bad against quarterbacks of late, and they're giving up more than the quarterbacks average. So I think the Browns get a good rap for their defense, but last several weeks not good for against quarterbacks.
Okay, yeah, that's 100%. I agree with that, man. So I'm in the timing for our show and everything. I'm going to read down the list. Will picked for my team Justin Fields at QB. He's picking Puka Nacua at wide receiver, Rachaad White at running back, and David Njoku at tight end. For Will's team that I picked Jordan Love, wide receiver DK Metcalf, running back Zach Moss, tight end Dallas Goedert. The one I'm worried about, Will, who you picked for me, is I am worried about David Njoku after the huge game he had this past week. I could definitely see a lower performing game from him and everything. So I am worried about that. But the one thing I am going to say, too, is I think Rachaad White might be the number 1 running back by the end, at the end of this week. So thank you very much for that pick, sir. I really do appreciate that.
I was hoping you were going to pick CeeDee Lamb.
CeeDee Lamb. Yeah, I'm staying away from him.
He's connecting.
Any worries on the team I picked for you?
DK Metcalf. Gotta love DK. Jordan Love. 1 week I sat him in one of my leagues. He went off. I think it was Thanksgiving. Was it Thanksgiving? He had one of the best games?
I believe so.
Dallas Goedert. Since he's been back, he's been pretty strong. He's looking good too. Zach Moss. Well, I don't know. It's hard because they're all top 10 guys. So I'm like, they're going to have killer weeks, but who's really going to have the lowest one? Like, what's low? 15 points, 20 points? What's high? You know? I don't know. I'm excited to see how this is going to pan out.
Hey, I can throw out a prediction here for you for Zach Moss at least, because I feel like he's going to have 70 rushing yards with a touchdown. So right there is there's 13 points for you. But where it's going to really get hot is in the receiving game, because he's going to have at least 5 catches for 50 yards receiving. So there's another 10 points. So Zach Moss, look for him to have about 23 fantasy points this week.
Now, is that low or high in this? That's my question.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the rest of the top 10.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I think we have talked each other's ears off enough. Let's go ahead and close this out. Look, once again, like and subscribe. Coach said earlier we're 16 subscribers away from 2,000. So if you haven't done so, hit the like, hit the subscribe button, and come support the team, and come be part of the team by joining our Gilded Chat. Email us at toiletstotitles@gmail.com. While you're there, hit us up about patreon.com. Look, come be one of our members. We got all different levels that you could join and everything. So come hit us up and everything. And once again, come check us out at toiletstotitles.com, where we have our articles and links to our videos. Justin, any parting words, sir?
Actually, yeah. So joinrival.com/ Title Tribe. That's joinrival.com / Title Tribe. That's the I'll put the comment down at the bottom, but that's our sponsor, our show sponsor. That is a new evolution of fantasy sports betting, where you can bet all sorts of different ways on fantasy sports, not just so much what's going on the field, but in a fantasy format. So your first deposit of up to $200 will be matched, plus an additional $25 just for using that link. And otherwise, guys, this was a fun first episode. I'll probably be on with you guys again next week to kind of help with the technical part before and after, and then let you guys run with it, because this was a lot of fun. I love the format. I love the new game. It's going to be an interesting season. I know Rich, man, he's going to come up with some crazy games even in the off season. It's going to be something like over under 2.5 trades by the Buccaneers this week, or something stupid. Who knows what he's going to come up with? But I appreciate you guys having me on, and I look forward to seeing the success of this show this off season.
I think you're muted.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was giving a shout out to Jason, saying how much I appreciate him being on the show and joining us. The invites here all the time, man. Jump in anytime you want. Any parting words, sir?
I do want to mention again, thanks Pete for all the super chats, and then the reminder of how to join. Of course, email Title Tribe or toiletstotitles@gmail.com, and you can join our Gilded. Jump in and talk to us. Over 200 people talking fantasy football all the time, or just football in general. We talk about the games while they're going on. Anything you want to talk about. Heck, we even talk about Disney sometimes. So jump in there. And Rich, thank you. I really appreciate you hosting this kick butt show. I was going to say the A word, but we're on YouTube and we're not trying to do that. So thank you very much for having me on tonight.
Appreciate you very much. And as always, my partner in crime, I got Will down below. There is going to be another contest between us, not just the one that we're doing bottom of the barrel, but we also got to figure out who is the tallest man within Toilets to Titles between him and me. So I look forward to that. And that's something that we're going to look forward to at Canton. I hope you are going to Canton, Will.
Yep.
So we could toss a few beers back, maybe, and hit a shot together, just like me and Jason and George always do. Any parting words, my man?
Really excited for this show. I really am. First show for us, and everybody, thank you for tuning in, and be sure to follow all of our social. Everything is at Toilets to Titles, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I don't think so.
Yes.
But and also on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button.
Well, with that being said, guys, I appreciate you very much. And join us again next week on Friday at 9 Eastern. We'll be back, same place, same time, same channel.